Ladies and gentlemen, it is I, Tetcher, and welcome to my first cast for the Heroes Lounge. Now, I want to start casting this more regularly, but this is going to be the first, and for a while, only what I'm going to do due to the fact that I am off to Game Changers very, very shortly after this, aka tomorrow, so I won't have time to cast another one, but I wanted to cast this game because it is by a group of people who are very close to me, aka the team from my Discord, which, despite my insistence that they indulge my narcissism, did not want to go for Team Tetcher. Unfortunately. However, we will manage, we will live. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, allow me to introduce you to game number 1 from the Heroes Lounge. I asked this team to send me all of their replays, and I will try to get some others as well from the organizer who's agreed to talk to me about it. So, let's jump into the game. So, ladies and gentlemen, spawning on the left-hand side in the blue trunks on really, really loud, turn my volume down, on the Infernal Shrines, it is going to be Apical Dominance. And playing for them, it is going to be Cho, played by Chamelios, Jaina, played by Archorn, great name, Gar, played by Nikor, Rhaegar, played by Lucian, Johanna, played by MGN, we shall call him MGN. And on the right-hand side, it is my Discord team, aka the Narcissist Seals. And playing for them, we have Falstad, played by Draconi, ETC, played by Alaname, Thrall, played by Bird versus Camel, Karazim, played by Lampy, and Kerrigan, played by Schleppel. We have a full lineup, basically, but we have a couple substitutes as well, and this is going to be the first game of the Heroes Lounge that they actually played. They got a default win round number 1, starting off with the 5-man group for the Seals here, starting off on the right-hand side, playing very cautiously, not rotating up to the lanes until they are sure that no one's going to overextend here, sending up that Falstad to the top lane. He has the global, so he's going to be able to fly around and just get all the soak there, whereas it is Thrall, one of the best solo laners in the bottom lane. He's going to be able to survive that for quite a while. Having a look at some of the level 1 talents, Cho, starting off with one of my favourite talents with the Surging Dash, increasing the dash, so a dash build, looking into it for Cho'Gall. He did get buffed recently, which is good. We're seeing a good engage onto Jaina there. She gets picked off. That is going to be first blood to Narcissist, making great use of that ETC Kerrigan combo and the damage from the Thrall and the Kerrigan as well, which is very, very nice. Cho'Gall, Shakitor playing very, very safely here. We also have Spurred Onward, even more speed for this Cho'Gall. It wants to be very mobile, which makes a lot of sense. This is a very large map. It's very effective on the shrine itself. But if you're at a bit of a lower level where you don't have maybe some of the rotations that a team like my Insanity would have, it is better to maybe stay a little bit more mobile, using that dash to great effect, using the extra run speed you get from third onwards. Look at that dash speed. If you take the reduced cooldown as well, then you can get some serious worth out of that. For now, Thrall continuing to outlane the double people in his lane, which is what he does. He just has so much sustain that he can just poke them down with lightning and still come out very far ahead, especially with the fact that he's getting some good roams from ETC and Kerrigan, which might happen again, especially with the shrine spawning down in this bottom lane. Falstad also appears to be laning fairly evenly. We don't see any tower damage from either of these two. So overall, top lane coming out fairly even, whereas Cho'Gall has managed to outpush Karazim quite a bit, but not to the point where there is particular danger. Seasoned Marksman on the Thrall as opposed to the Lightning talent. A little bit off from what we see, but remember, this is an Ameture League. That is the idea of the Heroes Lounge. This is an amateur tournament, so nothing too bad there. Kerrigan jumping in, looking for a little bit of minion clear as well, and finally, they're starting the shrine. Everyone is down here, though, for the side of Dominance. They really want to try and gain some control themselves. They are a level behind, though, currently. The lead is in favour of the Narcissist Seals. They want to try and take control of this, and as such, they're getting a huge advantage on this shrine. 90-4 at the moment, and the lead, the XP lead, still in favour of them, but the levels are even, and with Cho'Gall beginning to move in, doing some serious damage, looking for Lampy here, but a good stun from Alaname on that ETC is going to create some major trouble. Kerrigan coming in, great blind by Johanna there, forcing the entirety of the Narcissist Seals back. Dominance pushing forward, trying to catch out Bird vs Camel, but it's not going to be enough here. Good bounce though, catching him with a little bit of extra damage, and now we're seeing Apical Dominance taking full control of this center area. Going to be clearing that up as much as possible. ETC ETC moving in once again. He's minded the full 4-man stun though. Kerrigan pulls it. She wants to try and get the Cho'Gall, but the Cho'Gall dashes through with that dash build, turns it around and takes down the ETC. Nicely done. And now Birdman's Camel on the retreat, getting focused down as well. Good poke from the Falstad in the backline, and Kerrigan taking place of that ETC in the front line. Has been doing a pretty good job, and they're able to grab the objective, but it was a very solid kill there by Apical Dominance there. And they're able to take quite a bit of control. Having a look at the talents, we have Arcane Intellect. It has been nerfed quite a bit recently. See if that does work out for the Jaina, who is going to get chopped on hard, take more damage than the Cho'Gall, who gets pulled in and stunned by Kerrigan. Cho went for the Rune Gauntlet, that extra crit attack after he throws out the ball, which is quite helpful. And it's bombs away coming in from Garl. So a little bit of poke potential, which is nice. The bomb's very powerful on this map. You can get some good damage off. There we go. Down goes the Punisher. Half healthing the keep, though, is very effective. Rhaegar bringing out the Feral Heart, bringing in that extra regen, which I'm not a huge fan of. I think on this map, where you're going to be fighting over the objective for quite a while, you can make really good use of the mana reduction, because you're not going to be in wolf form that much. You need to be attacking the objectives at all times, so you can span that out. Electric Charge, though. The increased radius, very good for Cho'Gall, who's going to be in amongst the enemy team as much as possible, especially with that dash build. We'll once again keep an eye on what heroics he picks. On the side of the Seals here, we see double net guitar, full dash build, very simple power slide build for the ETC, nothing special, not going with that sneaky groupies build we sometimes see with the prog rock. Can still run groupies with this, but doesn't get as much efficiency as you would with the prog rock talent. We see the Echo of Heaven for the Karazima here instead of the Cleanse. There's not a huge amount of stun. There is Johanna, there is Cho'Gall potentially, but running that extra healing might work out a little bit better, especially against the Jaina. We will keep an eye on that one as well. And Johanna with the Laws of Hope. You don't see that often. And also the Regen Master, not going with anything else. I apparently hit my side mouse button, which caused me to answer. I'm not... I need to turn off those macros. They're not needed anymore, because now we have the numpad buttons, and that's all good. Jaina with the Ice Flows coming in here. Very creative by Archon here. He's going to want to try and get as many people in the area as possible, and that's going to combine fairly well with his later talents. Garl, nice clear by Schleppel though, very nicely done there. Garl with the Dark Descent, increase runic blast damage by 5% every time you get a hero takedown. A very committed talent choice here. They really want that. ETC with follow through coming in here, bringing out a little bit of extra damage. Nice, interesting choice there. Windshear from the Thrall. So he's got a little bit of poke and now a little bit of engage. Combine that with the Giant Killer so we can get consistent, fast Giant Killer hits to try and take down Cho'Gall, who has finished off with Fire Eater, not going with that extra reduced cooldown on the dash. He has to rely on the fact he has a wind up and take that into account before he does anything too risky. Conviction finishing off with Johanna. Cleanse is being picked up by Rhaegar, seeing as Karazim did not. Once again, fairly standard stuff from the Falstad so far, who's continuing to soak, making the best of that global. Garl revealing the location of Cho'Gall there, allowing Falstad to back out and alerting the rest of the people in this area as well. Maybe a little bit risky by the Garl there. Not too sure about that move at all. For now, though, we are once again seeing the Narcissist Seals taking quite a bit of control over Apical Dominance here, who are instead going to take the time to take care of those Shamans before they move in for a fight, as they are down a level. But they really need to start putting up a little bit of a contested here. Nice jump back by Schleppel. Great stun by Alnaim. Schleppel comes back in, gets the great stun onto Jaina, picking her off from the back line to the front line. Very nicely done. And they still want Cho'Gall, but that extra speed he gets with that spurred onward is going to allow him to reposition and zone himself out. But that was a great kill, second kill of the game for the Narcissist Seals here, who are going to continue to take control with the second objective of the game. Draconi continuing to split push this up as much as he can to get all the control there. That Falstad pushing forward. We're seeing the Cho'Gall once again getting burst here. Schleppel going super deep, lands the stun, but there's not enough percentage damage as of yet. But here it is, seven-sided strike. We'll have to keep an eye out for that Molten Block, which is the go-to counter for that seven-sided strike right now on the side of Cho'Gall. But either way, Narcissist Seals, thanks to that Punisher tanking that for and some minions appearing as well, they're able to take down the first fort of the game. The bot lane one is, like we said earlier, still a little bit vulnerable, so they could go down and try and capture that as well if they wanted to try and get the rotations up. But now they're quite happy with their heroics. We have the Maelstrom, we have the Mighty Gust, Mosh Pit, Sundering, and seven-sided. And I'm sure that you all know there is no greater wombo combo than Mosh Pit Sundering, aka your ETC Mosh Pits, and then your Thrall Sunderings everyone directly out of the Mosh Pit. It is the best accidental wombo. So for now, we are going to see the Narcissist here taking control of that mercenary camp, whereas Apical Dominance taking control of the mid lane, keeping that pushed up, because right now Cho'Gath did a decent amount of work on that in the early game, and now with the minions a little bit stronger, just going to let that push up. That gate's going to take some big hits, while Johanna continues to just lane against Draconi here. Draconi continues to do a very good job of that lane, whereas the big roaming squad from the rest of the fields is keeping this very, very heavily under their control. Apical Dominance are really struggling right now. They're chasing it, and here we go. Heroics for them finally have hit Hammer of Twilight on the Cho. Personally, my favorite talent on it, and they're not going with the Twisting Never, so the Upheaval not being used this time instead. Shadow Volley, which once again has been nerfed a little bit recently, but they decide to go for it anyway. Ancestral Healing on the Rhaegar, of course. Ring of Frost on the Jaina, and the Blessed Shield on Johanna, trying to get a little bit more control. They have some good CC, and that hammer can be really useful against that ETC if they can react it very well. Same with the Blessed Shield, they do have the CC on their side. So stack-wise, we can see that the roll currently on 27 season marksman stacks, which is an extra 17 bonus damage now that he has 28. And on the other stacking side, it is Johanna with that regen master currently on 15 out of 30. So she's on the way. She is on the way. She will get there eventually. Draconi spending the extra time in the top lane to grab that tower. More XP, but as such, because they know she's there, we're seeing Apical Dominance playing very aggressively. There's the Sundering. You can see Power Slide again, not really catching anyone, but it's still enough damage. That was a great mosh pit there, catching Cho'Gath, catching Johanna. Two people who can interrupt it. Cho'Gath on the run. In comes Kerrigan for the finish off. The blind not hitting anything. Kerrigan continues to push in, pulls in, gets the stun. Draconi coming in for the damage. And that is going to be a 4-man kill if you include the Cho'Gaths too. And we're going to see the Narcissist take full control of this map. That's new. I haven't seen that before, but that's awesome. Currently, they are very far ahead. They are on fire. And we're going to see them take control here and begin to push down that bottom lane. Once again, that fort was brought down to half health by the first Punisher that came through here. And now they're on their second. Percentage damage, Giant Killer and Giant Killer coming in from the Thrall and the Falstad. And they're going to push in with this. They also have the Spell Shield on the ETC to try and protect against that Shadow Bolt Volley, which we haven't seen yet. Punisher coming in deep, wants the Cho'Gath. But the fort's already down, so it's not too bad for Narcissist to stay here and continue pushing. Double strike on that Kerrigan, wants the crit. That is a lot of damage onto that Jaina. In comes the Shadow Ball Volley. He's not really hitting anything though. A little bit off target there. They already take down Jaina in exchange for nothing right now. It's an Ice Punisher, and it does root Rhaegar. And we're going to see Narcissist once again take control, and they're able to grab a second kill for their troubles as well as the 4. And now they have a 4-level lead. It's about to be 3 again, but they are still under massive amounts of control of this game. Going to steal enemy mercenary camps right now and look in a great position. No season marksman stacks on Thrall, continuing to build up. 36 stacks right now, 24.4 bonus attack damage. He's going to be good. And remember, once he finishes that off, he gets the increased attack speed on activation, so he can use that Giant Killer even more effectively, get the extra damage. And yeah, right now we see the Narcissist taking advantage of the fact that they do have full map control, grabbing all the mercenary camps, but not going for... I would have preferred them maybe to go for this bottom one. Get the riskier one first, then move to the ones on your side of the map a little bit later, especially seeing as this one will probably spawn in where the next shrine's going to spawn, seeing as we've already had one in mid and 2 in bot. Odds are next one's going to be top, so grabbing that shrine a little bit later might have been made a bit more sense if the lane was pushed up and could have maybe poked down the fountain, as opposed to now when the enemy's already rotating up here. Not really an ideal time to take it, but now they are rotating down. They're able to grab that mercenary camp. Mosh pit pinged ready. Very nice use of the ping system there. And we're going to see the team push in really aggressively. Draconi looks like she's considering dashing over the wall for a gust. We will see here. A name coming around the side. Once again, we know Mosh Pit's ready. There's the Mosh! And they got it. In comes the Falstad looking for the Mighty Gust. Decides against it because they all split nicely. There's the Gust. But the Molten Block used very effectively by Cho'Gath. Ancestral does not hit though. EDC just surviving there thanks to the healing from his own ability and from Karaziv there. Now they're chasing onto Archon the Slow from the Blizzard. And the Cone of Cold is good though. Root misses. And no one's going to chase it except for Schleppel, who's able to pull in the kill thanks to that double strike. Lucian comes in, not able to pick up another kill or even pick up any too much counter damage. We're once again going to see Narcissist in a great position, especially with their fountain still up. If they can take down this fountain, then even if the fight did happen, Shrine, like we said, spawning in the top lane, if they're able to take down this fountain now, if they can push up quickly before that shrine spawns, then they put themselves in basically an unlosable situation with a talent advantage and with no fountain available for the enemy team. Looks like that's what they're thinking about doing. There's the pig. Minions arriving to tank the keep, although Alaname does take a hit. Down goes the fountain. And they're actually going to go for the fort as well because they see the enemy in the mid lane. They just finished clearing up minions. So they're able to get the fort, so there's now no fountain, nowhere to retreat for Apical dominance here. So they are in a super tough position, although Dragony very nearly putting herself in a risky position there. But she is fine using that dash with Afterburner here. Not going for the cooldown reduction. She wanted that giant killer a little bit earlier. So the Afterburner giving her that little bit of extra escape. She can stay safe. We're seeing Alaname putting himself in a scouting position here, but we can see Apical dominance once again not having it, not putting themselves in that risky position. They're roaming up. We've already seen that Cho'Gall has Molten Bug and Rising Dread. That extra potential damage on each bounce, so longer distance pokes are good. Draconi and Alaname not staying with the team to help take the objective. The objective's already been taken. Instead, they rotate down very quickly to defend the lane, prevent any kind of extra trading. Coming in out of Apical dominance, they're able to take full control of this area and put themselves in a great position. So now the Punisher's pushing top lane, and now a decision has to be made by Apical dominance. Do they defend the Punisher and risk losing mid, or having to fight under the Punisher once again, or do they defend the mid and have the Punisher go ham? Instead, they defend the Punisher. In comes Schleppel with the pull-in. Ring of Frost does catch 3 people there. Nicely done. And we're seeing Schleppel take some serious damage. 7-sided onto the Cho'Gall. There's the mosh pit, and down goes everyone. Johanna as well. And we saw Rhaegar get a good cleanse onto the Cho'Gall, but it was too late. He did die, and he was able to get picked off himself. While he was cleansing, he accidentally walked into Punisher, walked into the mosh himself. Argon gets Mighty Gusted, picked off, and that's going to be the first keep of the game going over to the Narcissist Seals. They say they're actually going to push for the end as well. Nearest respawn time is 13 seconds away, and that is Cho'Gall, and that is going to be GG. And game number 1 will be going over to the Narcissist Seals here. Very well played by them. We will see if they can keep it up and win game number 2, or whether it's going to be Apical dominance, bringing it to a game number 3 in a best of 3 series. So I'm going to jump onto the correct screen. Nope. This one. Nope. Nope. Yes, found it. All right, so I'm going to exit this out and bring it up once again. There is the Heroes Lounge website for you. It's built with using Battlefy. It is a league Discord server. Everything is very nice and prepared for that. Very well organized so far, and it's looking pretty good. Cowder was casting some today as well, which was pretty good. So it is live streamed too. They have their own YouTube channel, so you can check the stuff out there, and it looks all good. So let me load up this replay. We'll see if Apical dominance can make a comeback, and hopefully if they are on the right side, so I can save myself some time. Booyakasha. There we go. Hide the replay thing. Bring up the scores. Put them as the correct scores. And let's jump right back in. Right button. Right button. Get out of here, map score thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to map number 2. And on the left-hand side, currently 0-1 down. It is going to be Apical dominance. And playing for them, we have Archon playing the Sylvanas, Anubarak being played by Chameleos, Uther being played by Boozehound, Kerrigan being played by Lucian, and Tahaka being played by MGN. Whereas on the right-hand side, in the red trunks, currently 1-0 in this series, it is going to be the Narcissist Seals. And playing for them, Kael'thas being played by Draconi, Muradin being played by Alaname, Thrall being played by Bird versus Cabal, Brightwing being played by Lampy, and Tyrael being played by Schleppel. I'm Tetcher, I'm your caster for game number 2. And right now, we are seeing once again the 5-man group up by the Narcissist Seals in the mid lane, putting themselves in position for a little bit of aggressive play possibly. And Sylvanas not here with her team. She instead rotated up to her lane straight away. Doesn't look like we're going to see any action. The stun from Anubarak is dodged, so let's have a quick look at the talents. So, oh, hang on. In comes Muradin coming in here with that bit of stun, but Kerrigan gets a good pull-in onto Draconi here, who is immediately pulling back. Alaname putting on some good distraction there. Root is used onto Uther, is getting chased down, but heals himself. He will survive here. Chameleos, though, taking a lot of damage, but everyone does get out. So finally, let's have a look at the talents here as the teams rotate up to their minion waves here to continue to soak XP. So we have Damper Magic on the side of Anubarak, trying to deal with that Kael'thas a little bit. We have the Paralysis on the Sylvanas. Conjurer's Pursuit on Uther, keeping that mana sustained up as much as possible. Schleppel taking some serious harassment. He took even in depth to try and give his team that little bit of extra damage onto the enemy, so even if he dies, should be good. Right now, they're chasing onto Dahaka, who took the enhanced agility, not taking that extra damage to minions that would allow him to split push. Instead, he wants to roam around and catch people, which is going to be super effective if he does grab that Kale Pass, which is currently clearing the minion lane very effectively in the bid with that mana addict, so he can get that shield a little bit later on. But versus Camel, bit more he could choose there. He was fighting against Archon, but in came that Dahaka with that good time. You need to be so careful when you're up against these global team comps. He has to see some marksman as well, which means he's missing out on stacks due to the fact that he did die this little bit early on. And Brightwing, bring out the unfurling spray. This is after the healing nerf onto Brightwing, on the shielding nerf, sorry, onto the shield build. So bringing out a little bit of a heal build here. Very interesting, very cool to see. And the reverberation onto Muradin. Good pull in by Kerrigan. Once again, making use of that Sharpen Blade, considering they do an extra 25% damage. Every single one of those she hits is actually going to really hurt here. Here we go. Level 4 talents coming in first this time for Apical Dominance. Once again, they're going to take back control of top and Zero keep control of top. However, right now, bot lane does not look promising because they have a numbers disadvantage here. And we see the Narcissist taking advantage of that as much as possible, especially with Draconi coming back down here to keep that numbers advantage in their favour. So yeah, for Apical Dominance here, Underking, that extra damage, extra range, allowing Anubrak to dive deeper. They want to kill Kael'thas first. That is their 100% plan here. Once again, Kerrigan with a great pull-in, but the numbers game too strong from the Narcissist. Seals here. Lucian won't die, but he did trade a little bit inefficiently there. We see Withering Barrage coming in from Sylvanas here. Protective Shield. The Psionic Pulse gonna give Lucian a little bit of that wave clear, and the one collects, allowing Dahaka to collect from the minion waves, which they're getting quite a lot of because he's with Sylvanas. So he's actually going to be able to stack quite quickly. We will keep an eye on him because that's quite cool and quite clever. We are seeing Draconi with the Neverwind on that Kael'thas, so with that extra range and a little bit of mana back. Thunderburn on the Muradin, Ride the Lightning, the Unstable Anomaly, and the Vigorous Strike. So Tyrael taking the talent that allows him to die a little bit more efficiently, and then taking the talent that's going to help prevent him from dying. We will see how that works for him. For now, though, we are seeing, once again, still this Shrine trade in effect. So neither team gaining a huge advantage for the moment. They both want to take the advantage, but neither one's able to get anything. Really, a rotation is what's going to be needed, or mistakes. However, in this top lane, Lampy, the fact that his heals don't really cost mana, is going to allow them to out-sustain eventually. So they're going to have to try and eventually take advantage of that. For now, though, they are good. That was me opening a drink, in case you heard that. Oh, both shrines currently in favor of Apical Dominance. Finally taking control. They have a level advantage too. Looking to try and grab something here, but Schleppel is here. In fact, that Leeching Life, that Vigorous Strike, he's able to keep sustained here. And that Sylvanas damage, that push potential is too good. Even with those heals that Lampy offers, they're not able to sustain through this. And as such, Draconi has roamed up to take control of this. There's that Neverwind onto the Dahaka. Dahaka has to burrow. The root misses from Camel, who has no mana here, but he does have the speed. If he can land that last hit along with something from Draconi, yes, the Flame Strike hits, and that's the kill. And in the meantime, Alaname has taken the place of Tyrael to try and deny this mid lane. He's done a great job as Tyrael's rotated down to the bot lane. He's now 2 versus 1 though, due to Lucian coming in to help. Teleports out with Eldurin's Might and that Angelic Flash, which is the teleport part of Eldurin's Might. And he has to just continue laning until help can arrive, and the help is in the form of Alaname here. Double tank in this bot lane to deal with that Kerrigan. Stun misses. Very good for Alaname here, so he's able to keep sustaining through this. But versus Camel on the way as well. Kale having to pull back from Gamelios a bit, but top lane has been traded out because they've just abandoned this completely. And once again, just a full Shrine trade. Neither one gaining a huge advantage. And the XP continuing to stay fairly even here. There's the stun onto Thrall. No advantage gain. Great knock up there by Draconi on that Kael'thas. Pushing forward. Schleppel trying to deal the damage. Muradin jumping in. Lands the slow. Good pull in once again by Lucian. Not able to get anything. And the Flame Strike from Draconi. Not able to really get anything out of this. Both teams trading blows right now, but only 1 kill to 1 at the moment. However, the longer this goes on, the more value Archon and MGN are going to get up here. They're able to push onto the fort and do a lot of damage. I'm going to have a very quick drink. So we're going to see in the bot lane, Kerrigan tried to roam up a bit, and as such got a bit punished with Brawl. Doesn't land the stun this time, and as such gets polymorph. We have the explosive polymorph. Isn't enough to kill her. Unstable anomaly. That extra bit of damage on that Brightwing, but it is not enough this time. Brightwing also took Mystify to reduce cooldown every time she activates abilities. Once again, another talent that was nerfed recently, but still very, very nice. You spam out your abilities, you can get some really good healing, especially with Mystified, level 20. But that's a long wait. Bit of a fight down in bot lane. Kerrigan once again missing the stun. She's pulling in from a bit too far. Sometimes it's better just to drop the stun. Speaking of stuns, Kale passes, misses, but Alaname does not with that Muradin. Able to land the Stormbolt and finish it off. Boost Hound, not enough cooldowns, not able to save his team. And just before Heroics as well, if he just been a second earlier, that Divine Shield would have been available. Unfortunately, it was not though. Once again, Burvus Camel having many issues with the fact that Sylvanas is a thing, and she took Wailing Arrow Cocoon on the Anub'arak. I very much like this. I think it's an underrated ability a little bit here. We'll see if it works out for them. Maelstrom on that Kerrigan, and Isolation on the Dahaka. Whereas on the right-hand side, it is Phoenix coming in for Kael'thas, usual there. No one really you can Pyroblast here, and Divine Shield is available. Avatar for the Muradin, just going to keep that sustain in, Sundering the Blink heal. No Emerald Wind this time, although it's getting a little bit more popular nowadays. And Sanctification. So Tyrael wants to try and control the fights very effectively here. Speaking of which, they do still have very high control over this top lane. Question of whether they can capitalize on it, because bot lane they can't get control of the shrine. There's still been no Dragonite. Good drag coming in for Dahaka here. Body blocks from Lucian. There's the pull. Double stun this time. Can they make something out of it? There's the silence. Can Dahaka get one more drag? If he can get the kill, but no. Cooldown just a little bit too high. He was not able to capitalize on it this time. Just give off cooldown now. So we will see Alaname and Brightwing live to fight another day. Lampy continuing to just spam out abilities, and already they're back to full health thanks to the power of Fountains and Lampy's healing here. And that's going to work out very nicely for them. Top fort still super low. Was not finished off by Sylvanas in the end, thanks to just some good rotations. And we'll see if they can get something out of it eventually. Chamius and Dracody poking each other around. Stun misses. Brightwing killed off there by an engaged by Kerrigan. Heroic was used there, but they did get the kill. And with Archon down here, even if there was a rotation to try and punish the amount of people down here, there's still a hero down. Instead, they try to punish mid, but with Kerrigan here, they can't dive too deep, and it's a Anub'arak. That burrow out allows him to stay alive. So now it's just Muradin once again against the exact same lineup, but not for long because Dahaka has left. They want Bird versus Camel. He will have Wind Fury, so he can sprint away if he needs to, but he's saving it, waiting until he absolutely needs it, and needs to wait until Dahaka is a little bit closer to his minion wave. There we go, so we can get the full bounce off and continue to poke that down. Lucian here as well, top lane, very heavily in favor, once again traded out for bot lane. So we're seeing the full team of Narcissist pushing in this time. They're going a lot more aggressively than Apical Dominance are. They're setting up for a gank onto Bird versus Camel, while their bot lane just straight up dies. Need to decide whether they want to commit. Kerrigan still not showing us how here she comes. They want Bird versus Camel, but the lightning demounts them and the tongue nowhere near. They'll get the fort, but they're not going to be able to get Bird versus Camel, and they pull him in, but nowhere near to stun. But as such, they actually get their level 13s a little bit before the Narcissist heals here. Cocoon has been used. As such, Alaname having to tank way too much stuff here, trying to keep his teammate alive. There's the silence. He's still alive, though, thanks to the healing of Lampy. Schleppel's behind him, too, tanking up a little couple more hits. In comes Lucian from the backline. Then a great stun by Kael'thas here. In comes Kerrigan into the backline, trying to get something. The stun once again misses. The Divine Shield was used there. Sanctification drops down. It's not enough to save Brightwing, but they're trying to turn it around. The numbers advantage hugely in favor of Apical Dominance here. And here comes Lucian, gets the stun onto Muradin. There's the drag. Beautiful combos here from Apical Dominance, and they're able to pick up another kill there, bringing the kill count 4-2 in their favor. But in this time, Bird versus Camel able to make his way to the top lane and deny that Dragonite going over to Apical Dominance, as he will grab top in time, despite bottom being held very effectively by Apical Dominance here. And they're going to begin pushing in with that Sylvanas. They pull in, get the good stun onto Tyrael. Remember, even if they kill Tyrael, he will get that extra explosion damage thanks to Even in Death, which is a lot of damage. And now, greedy move here, but it could work out for them. Seeing Narcissist taking their easy camp while the enemy is very much all at this bot lane. If they were to push up to look for a wrap around or just scout it, then they would see it's happening, but they're not. They're instead just looking for control and actually rotating out of the lanes. So the camp will go over there, and they're going to go for their own instead. Level 13 talents on the side of Narcissist Seals as well. Pyromaniac on that Kael'thas. The healing static on Muradin. Giant Killer, there it is, finally. Gonna combine that with the Wind Shear. The Sticky Flare without the extra range, that's gonna be interesting. We'll see how that works out. Dahaka taking some serious damage here. Imposing Will. And the Zealotry. Very interesting choices here from Tyrell. We'll see how that works out. It will allow him to attack through. In comes the Nubarak. Very deep stun misses, but in comes the Storm Bolt doesn't. The Burrow used almost immediately by Dahaka. He tries to drop out some damage here, but there's huge damage coming in from the Chain Bombs around Lucian. Going into the backline, trying to get Draconi. Lots of pokes. Dragonite picked up by the Narcissist Seals here while no one was looking because they were able to hold this bottom line. Kael'thas doing huge damage carrying against the stun onto Muradin here. Lucian gets jumped on by Alaname, and we're seeing the Living Bomb not spreading. We see MDN pulling away from his team to make sure it didn't spread, but the first Dragonite finally going over to the Narcissist Seals. While that fight was happening in the bot lane, everyone was there. Muradin, Thrall was able to run back down to the mid lane because it was all over this objective. And now the first Dragonite looking really good. Versus Camel in that he's going to be pushing forward to try and gain any advantage they can because it's taken them so long to get this. They need at least a 4 out of this. Good knockup from Kael'thas. Once again, they want Boost out. Trying to chase him down here. Phoenix comes in. Not enough damage to finish him off. Although Cameless now gone. That's going to guarantee the 4 in the mid lane. And with Alaname back as well. We'll see the Narcissist Seals begin to take a bit of a lead. They're now 1 fort ahead because that was the third fort of the game. Top lane died a bit earlier, bot lane in those earlier trades. Now can they make anything more out of this? 12 seconds left for this Dragonite. They will 100% get this tower and the wall. The question is, could they get a fountain or anything else out of this as well? 7 seconds left. Good stun up by a Nubarak. Trying to deny this, trying to deny any more efficiency out of this. 2, 1. One more pump, which is going to separate the tank from the team. Can they make anything out of this? No. The Burrow from Dahaka preventing any kind of die potential. But with the minions here, they could turn it, but Sylvanas will try and prevent that. They turn it onto Alaname. Great activation though will prevent that from happening. The Cocoon does nothing because the Nubarak is killed off. The silence is great, but they can't chase quick enough. They're already gone. Narcissist Seals able to make the most out of that. They got Cocoon, but Dahaka was far too far forward. He got caught out of position. And even with Sylvanas killing off all those minions, though, the fact they lived there for just that little bit prevented that keep from that fall from doing too much damage here. And as such, level 16 is available for both teams, but a little bit quicker for the Narcissist Seals. Criterize for that Brightwing. I'm not sure who she wants that on. I would suspect Kerrigan. Holy Ground, we already saw that being used. Tempest Fury, the Give on the Axe. I do love that talent. And the Sun King's Fury. So extra damage all the way. Blood for blood on the Nubarak here for that Muradin. A little bit of extra damage. Remorseless for Sylvanas. They really want extra damage here. Benediction on that Uther. The aggressive defense, which is quite nice. And we have the elongated tongue. We'll see how well that works out for them. Both teams rotating around to the same area, but scouted by Schleppel, who completely zones out Boost out here. He's going to have to device it himself, which he does. He pulls back here to Haka, burrowing away from his team. The Cocoon already expires. Kerrigan coming in, doing huge damage, but the sanctification will prevent a lot of that. Lampy getting focused. He moves into the sanctification, but he still goes down as it expires. So it's currently 1 for 1. They're beginning to chase. Good stun for Kerrigan, who jumps into the backline, takes down Thrall, but gets turned on instantly to Haka, pulling away Muradin. But he's too tanky. But the Living Bomb's so good. Down goes that Kerrigan. But the chase is still on. It's currently a numbers advantage for Apical Dominance. They take control of this. The camp died during all of that. They'll take control of that. But currently, that was a 3 kill for 2 in favor of Apical Dominance. They're able to take down Kael'thas as well at the very end there. Kerrigan with her last-ditch effort. Very nicely done by her. And that extra damage really helping out for them, and that extra sustain. They're able to really pick off people in the backline. Big props to that Kerrigan. She's been doing some really great jumps all game here, has Lucian. Very effective. Now we're going to see Archon trying to save his fort up in the top lane with the help of MGN. But in the meantime, Schleppel just grabbed control of this top shrine. And as such, that's going to prevent any Dragonites going over for the moment, depending on how hard they want to defend this. Because only Dahaka's shown. Now Nubarak's shown though. They know they need to be careful. Sylvanas didn't, but now she has. There's the polymorph onto MGN. Here comes Dahaka. That is a 4 versus 2. Tyrael gets surviving. Okay, nicely done. Very good Eldritch Might to escape there. And in the meantime, bot lane was secured. Very well done here by the Narcissist Seals. But Apical Dominance, they're showing some big control here. Somehow XP completely even, 7 to 6 right now. So we are seeing Alaname continuing to soak the bot lane. Mid lane, 4 versus 5. Apical dominance, once again, with everyone down here. The Narcissist Seals need to be able to take control of this area if they can, or at least look for a fight that they can actually win. Defending this might be the fight they need. Alaname wrapping around. Tyrael's not here. That was a great stun by Kael'thas here. And as such, the Haka is completely separate from his team. The web has been used here. Good stuff to Bird versus Camel, though. Blood for Blood is used, though. Owen to Bird versus Camel as opposed to onto Muradin. The silence is good, but it's too late. Thrall has already activated its abilities. The damage is good. They're able to take down 2 heroes, and they're trying to chase for more. They want NGN here. They get the stun. There's the Storm Bolt. The Gravity Lapse misses, but the Living Bomb is enough. He gets taken out too, running away from his team to not spread any more Living Bombs, and that is a 3-for-0 in favor of the Narcissist Seals. The silence was good, but like we said, the Wind Fury was already active there, and the damage had already been done. Once again, they were trying to protect the cocoon and couldn't make anything out of it. And now we're seeing, once again, the familiar situation of, despite winning the fight, they're rotating up to grab 1 shrine. But here we go. This time they're sending 3 people down to the bottom, and Kerrigan pays for her insolence. You think you can capture a shrine while we have 5 people alive? That is how you should rotate. Leave people in every lane. Guarantee both shrines. You can take a little bit longer getting mid as long as you guarantee that you hold both shrines and guarantee that anyone who tries to stop you is punished. And there we go. Even denying Alaname from taking the DK to put it on Schleppel is just a bit more useful. Alaname with a bit of the longer range stun, and especially seeing the sacrification is up, but they will not need it really while they have the Dragon Knight available. It's much better to save its love, whereas Avatar could be used if they need to. So for now, we're seeing them push in. Also, Muradin adds that little bit of extra attack speed slow. Gets a good stun onto Chambers. The long-range stun is what they need to try and pick people off. Dragon Knight pushing forward very aggressively, attacking heroes right now. And they jumps in with the Avatar, like we said, trying to get some form of engagement. They're fighting in between 2 keeps, though. Not ideal. The science is good, but the Living Bombs from Kael'thas. Once again, great knockups, great damage, and the web will expire once again. They're able to guarantee 2 kills with that Sundering. Great snipe there. Very nicely done. Kerrigan not getting the pull in, and that is another keep down. The first one of the game this time. We're going to be seeing Narcissist Seals looking for the end. There's still 3 people alive, trying to do any damage they can. Moosehound trying to drag people in to the keep range so that they can delay them, but the health is too high. Sanctification is used, and that is GG. Kerrigan gets Divine Shield, but it's too late. That is going to be GG, and we will see the Narcissist Seals winning the game. Very nicely done by them, and they will take the point in the Heroes Lounge League. Very cool games, very nicely played, and I hope you all enjoyed. I thoroughly did. It was very cool to see them play. I intend on casting more of this because that was Ameture League. This is technically an Ameture League here, and they crushed it. They did an amazing job in this. Both teams played very, very well. Some really solid rotations. And I really want to cast some more of this because it should be good. So, guys, I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to head off now. I'm going to continue packing for Game Changers. And remember, these Heroes Lounge games are not going to be the only things I cast. I'm going to cast some more professional tournaments as well, but I'm also going to be casting Community Challenge, which the first challenge has already been set. It is due for this Monday, because I'll be casting, this Monday, because I'll be checking through them on Monday, casting them as soon as I can on Tuesday, or on Monday. I'll be checking them and casting them when I can. So assume Sunday, but challenge is basically pick any talent that could be considered global or insanely long range and show me you using it to the best of your ability. The cooler things you can do with it, the better. If you win hard with it, cool. If you mess up with it, that's funny too. Fail games are more than welcome, and I will dedicate a special section if I get any. So for now, you can send those replays to replays@tetcher.co.uk. I have been Tetcher. Thank you all very much for watching, and see you all next time.